Hi everybody, welcome to today's episode of Forging a Nation here in Iceland. Got a lot to catch up on. Apologies once again, I feel like I say this every time for the slight delay in this episode. It's been like over a week since the last one. Basically, I've just come back from a long weekend in Bruges, so I've not actually had any time to get the game ready, do any recording. Hopefully, I'm at a point now where in the next couple of weeks I should be able to get hopefully back to two regular Iceland episodes a week like we were back sort of January time. Obviously, we've had the two agent videos. I am still working on another one, but I'm hopeful that things are sort of settling down a little bit at the moment, and I might be able to get things out a little bit more frequently. With regards to the episode itself, we are in Champions League third round, I think it is, third qualifying round. We've got a lot to catch up on. Obviously, the end of the Champions League from last season to touch on, as well as some transfers, some loan form struggles, some coefficient progress, and obviously just the league season to date so far. So yeah, without further ado, let's get going. And before we get going, everybody, if you want to do us a massive favour and drop a like down below, I'd really appreciate it. And if you are enjoying the video so far and the series so far, or any of the other videos, or if you haven't checked them out, go and check them out, the agent videos that we've got. Obviously, we've got a few bits still on there from FM23, even FM22. Some of them be a little bit outdated now, like practice tests and stuff, but things like the rebuilds that we've done, kind of evergreen, really. You can never sort of really, age out of them, I suppose, especially by the time you get sort of 5-6 seasons in. But anyway, onto today's video, today's episode. Like I said, there's a lot to catch up on. But the first little bit of housekeeping is the last two Champions League games from last season. So we played Marseille, went 1-0 down to an own goal from Recagni before we managed to pull it back right at on the stroke of half time through Rodrigo Cabrera. And then things really just sort of got away from us. Before we knew it, we were 3-1 down, an annoying penalty giveaway, which allowed Vitinha to score before he then added another one. Rykov gave us a sniff before Enzo Coffey put the game to bed, and we lost 4-2. And as you can see, we created... we had more shots. Their XG is obviously skewed by the penalty. But yeah, really frustrating to not get anything out of that game. And I felt like we were probably good value for at least a draw. We then had a really disappointing 0-0 draw against Poznan. Again, absolutely dominated them. Really should have won this game. Rykov and Valdemarson having poor matches. And then having made all of our subs, Valson got injured, so we had to put Recagni in goal. And I honestly thought at that point we were going to end up losing. But thankfully we managed to hold on for a draw at that point and just get some coefficient points on the board. So what it unfortunately meant was we finished our first Champions League campaign 32nd in the league phase. 3 draws and 5 defeats. 9 goals scored, 19 conceded, and just the 3 points on the board. But nowhere near as bad as some of the other teams, Hibs, Galatasaray, Zagreb and Brugge. All teams, with maybe the exception of Hibs, who have got a longer history in the Champions League than we do. And yeah, we managed to sort of do a little bit better than them. Obviously, we had a couple of near misses, unlucky against Marseille, unlucky against Sociedad, and could have easily got a win against Poznan. But you know what? A decent first experience in the Champions League, and the money that we got was incredible. So that meant that last season we were propelled up to 27th in the coefficient table, which means that we've got... whoever comes first going straight through to the Champions path. The Champions League, the first one, and then we've got a team going to the Europa League second qualifying round, and then we have 2 teams now who will be going through to the Conference League second qualifying round, whereas we still had 1 team who were in the... Get it right, in the first round of the Conference League, a team in the second round, and then we had Bretha in the Europa League. I'm sure it's the second round they went to. But yeah, we'll touch on that in a bit more depth in a minute. But as it is, like I said, we've actually got more teams. For next season, the teams will be sort of jumping up around as well. And as it stands, we are on course to gain a couple of points as well. Sorry, I always trip over my words a little bit with some of this stuff because it gets a little bit confusing, because our season doesn't finish when alongside the Champions League finishes. Obviously, our season finishes like October time, and everything sort of is bumped back yeah, it's all sort of a bit higgledy-piggledy. But as you can see, at the moment, we are due to go. We're due to finish, what's this, above Slovakia and currently above Romania. So we should hopefully be going up to 25th. Don't actually know what that will give us in terms of anything else, but obviously that's just at this stage. There's a chance that we could potentially sneak up above Czechia as well if we can get some decent results on the board, and over Bulgaria as well as a result. Before we touch on ourselves, I'm just going to quickly show you just kind of where we're at the moment with our Icelandic team. So they have already played the first legs of their next round games, but I just wanted to show you. We have Braither going through 2-1 on penalties. 2-1, and then relying on penalties to get past Slavia Prague, a really good team in the Conference League, Europa League second qualifying round. So that means they're in the Europa League third round. So obviously if they lose at this stage, they'll go to the Conference League playoff, I believe. But if they can win their next round, they are guaranteed to be a minimum Conference League phase. Did have a slight disappointment, Hafnarfjörður going home 2-1 after an aggregate defeat to PAOK in Greece, but they did actually manage to get a 1-0 win away in Greece, which was great for the coefficient points. Just a shame that, despite the fact that they didn't have much possession, they created a lot of decent chances. I don't think PAOK had a single shot on target in this second leg, so there was definitely a chance for them to have done a little bit more than they did. But you know what? It's not a bad little run for them to get a few little bit of points on the board for the league. But another team who are still alive, who are doing terribly in the league, but are somehow still managing to pull off results like this in the Conference League, is Fram, who, despite losing, I think they lost like 3-0 or something like that. 3-1 was it maybe, and against Vaduz at home they managed to turn it around and win 5-2 in Iceland to send them through into the next round, where they have played Rangers and they have actually lost that first leg 2-0. But you know what, the fact that they've managed to turn it around despite doing poorly in the league, they have got a new manager which has seen a bit of a bump in their performances. But yeah, they managed to get some points on the board there with that win. So yeah, as I said, they have played their first leg. So Braither through 1-1 at home to Sarajevo. Really should have done a bit more with this, to be honest with you. Sarajevo has had 4 shots, all 4 of them were on target, whereas Braither managed 13 shots with only 4 on target. Just felt if they had been a little bit more clinical, they probably could have really ran away with this and given themselves a really nice cushion before they go to Sarajevo. But who knows, hopefully they can pull it off, get a result, get the job done, and see themselves through into the next round. Let me just check what the crack is with this one. So if they were to, what are they in at the moment? So they're in the, so they'll go to winners qualify for the playoff, losers qualify for the league path, 4th qualifying rounds. They must mean of the Conference League for that one. So hopefully they've got a good chance of getting some sort of European football next season. End of this season, start of next season. But as I said, for Fram, they were comfortably beaten by Rangers. They did kind of hold on till quite late, despite the sort of overwhelming stats in favour of Rangers, before Scott Aikenhead, and probably, maybe I'm pronouncing that right, I don't know if there's a different way of pronouncing it in Scotland, who looks absolutely incredible, by the way, for 25 years old, looks brilliant, decent value. Looks like he joined from Liverpool on a free. I would have thought he'll be getting snapped up because he looks brilliant. But yeah, quite a lot for them to do, bringing Rangers back to Iceland. But who knows? Maybe they can somehow steal some sort of positive result and get themselves through into the next round. As for us, we did once again kick things off, winning the Dale Darbakala. We beat Braither 3-1. And quite a comfortable result. 2 goals from one of our new players, Sylvester Nigor, who we'll touch on in a minute. Comfortable start to the season in that regard. Before Braither instantly got revenge at the next available opportunity by beating us 2-1 away from home in the opening game of the season. Not helped at all by Trifonov getting sent off. He just decided to 2-foot someone from behind. We were sort of scrapping a little bit. And then they just managed to pump the ball long and hit us on the break, really. We just had a decent spell of possession. They managed to counter us, and they made that extra man advantage count. Just managed to side through our midfield and get the goal. But that does actually remain our only league defeat of the season, with us then beating Valor 7-2, 4-0 against Nats Dale, Starnen 8-3, Grindavik 6-3. We did get a revenge on Breither by beating them 1-0, by beating them on penalties, after drawing 1-0 in the Maystar Kepnikala, so that the Community Shield. It did rely on penalties after they equalised in the 85th minute, completely against the run of play, but we got the job done with, I think it was currently on loan, potentially new goalkeeper, Dmitry Kamlashev. We do have an option to buy him, saving 2 penalties. And then, 6-0, 3-1. As you can see the scores. You don't need me to go through them all. A couple of 2-2 draws splattered here and there. But yeah, generally speaking, been very, very solid. Champions League, this 6-2 victory over Pristina. I think they're from Albania. Flattered them, as you can see. I don't know how we didn't put more than 2 goals past them in the away leg. And then when it came to the home leg, again, how we only scored 4, really, we could have scored a lot more. 34 shots in this game alone. I think they faced some like 50, 60 shots from us in total. We only managed to score 6 times. And then, who did we play? We played Sheriff Tiraspol, who we played previously, smashed them 6-0 away from home to put the tie to bed completely. And we did manage to just about get some points, coefficient points, or maximum coefficient points by beating them 2-1 at home. And then, big one, Champions League, we've just played Zagreb away from home, managed to sneak a 1-0 win. Absolutely massive. Really could have gone either way, but I think for us to get a result against Zagreb, a really good, strong team away from home is really, really good. A really good marker of sort of where we're at as a team at the moment. And I mean, this is still a tactic we're rocking at the moment, and this is the team that's been picked for the second leg of the Zagreb game. We are struggling quite a bit with registration this season. Too many foreign, like non-homegrown nation players basically are catching us out a little bit at the moment. And we've also struggled to get quite a few players out into the loan farm, which again we'll touch on soon. But still been rocking this tactic. In terms of numbers, we've got Rykov with 22, Nygor 21. I think that's how you pronounce it. I know in a lot of Scandinavian countries, when you have this, you have like Martin Odegaard, for example, Erling Haaland. The 2 A's seem to make an all sound. And I think you do generally not pronounce the D, but I don't know if the Ny is different or whether it's like, well, I've got to be careful how I say it because I'm worried it might sound a little bit dodgy. And then we've got Valdemarsson on 18, Swaj on 17. Stojanovic is actually out on loan at a second-tier team. He is leaving on a free at the end of the season, but he's done quite well. He's just not good enough for us, but he's definitely good enough to play in the division, I think, for a lower down team. Lamar Johnston is having a really good season. We managed to get him out on loan to Hafnarfjordur. It's done him the world of good. With 12 goals. Lerva has not kicked the ball for us for ages because there was a bid from Al Fayed from, I think they're either Saudi or Qatari, I can't remember, but we got him on a free, and, that's great that they offered us some sort of money for him, but they offered us like 200,000-300,000 for him, and the way he's been performing for us since he's joined, he's way better than that. So I rejected it because I was like, well, I want a bit more money for you, which he did seem on board with. But, he's just not been happy, so I'm just waiting for him to settle down. And it's worked out okay because Schmidt's been wanting more game time, and he's actually been doing really, really well. As you can see, 9 goals this season for him. Trifonov with 6 goals, but he's also been smashing in the assists. Martuk, Kipre, Abinho, Peachy, another new signing. Bernberg, who we had last season, he is joining us permanently. Ragnarsson's doing all right. And again, a couple more signings here. And then that's kind of it for the numbers, really. Now on to the sort of final bit of housekeeping, really, transfers. So Ellison McCauley, he joined us on a free. I feel like I'd already touched on him, but I just wanted to bring it back for him because he has finally joined. He is someone who we've sort of struggled with in terms of registration point of view in the league. We've only actually really been able to have him registered during the transfer windows because we've basically had to take some players out and fit him in when we've needed to fit him in. He's registered for the Champions League, so he's playing there. But he did want to go out on loan because he wasn't registered, and it's just been a whole thing with him, really. Which is a shame because he's a good player. He's arguably better than Lindstrom. He's just that little bit older. But no one's really come in for him on loan. I'm not really expecting anyone to come in for him at the moment from Iceland, just because I think he's still just rated a little bit highly. Second yellow card made a really good point, I felt, in one of his more recent videos where he was saying that clubs in your division are less likely currently in a building a nation. So he's in Malta, obviously we're in Iceland, lower reputation divisions, and therefore lower reputation teams are unlikely to bid on players of 2 to 3, 2.5 star, really, because they deem the players as being out of their range, and the players are never going to want to come to them. So we have struggled with that this season. Emiliano Pichi is another one because he's Kosovan. We signed him from Olimpia Ljubljana for 1.7 mil. Looks a really good mental player. Some really good standout technicals for a playmaker, but mentally he looks brilliant. Sorry, one of my cats is just zooming around. Classic sort of Balkan Kosovan fire and energy, 17 bravery, 18 aggression. And he's another one who struggled a little bit registration-wise. We couldn't register him at all in the end to start with. But we've managed to get him into the team now, and he's done all right when he's played. But I'm hoping he's someone who we can just start bringing through a little bit more. He's got really good current ability, potential ability for the level we're at. He's someone who eventually I would imagine would hopefully get out onto a loan farm once the division starts to catch up to his standard. And he can hopefully be a good sort of flagship player for sort of like a top 5, top 6 team, and can sort of help carry them through. But even that, he's valued 1.7 to 3.7 mil. So even if we can just make our money back on him, fine. Now we have Edinho, so we've got Abinho and we've got Edinho. He looks a phenomenal player, but we have actually had to loan him. We managed to get him on a free from Atletico Mineiro. In case you're wondering why the name fixes doesn't seem to be working at the moment. Basically, I had a few issues with my computer and then with my Football Manager. It was lagging quite a lot, so I basically verified the game files on Football Manager. So it's sort of like re-downloaded like the default files. So some like the Brazilian teams and stuff, like they've reverted like the 3-letter like name basically. So I just need to re-update that at some point. But he looks brilliant as a defensive midfielder. A lot of really, really good attributes. I've just had to loan him out. Because I just couldn't get him couldn't find a spot for him because he counts as foreign for a start as well, which further limits us, as opposed to sort of like Pichi, who actually, he still counts as foreign. So in terms of like Abinho and Delanga and stuff, it was just one of them. It was just like, one of you's got to go out on loan, and Vasco da Gama took him on loan. So I was like, you know what, can you just go out on loan for a little bit? Can you carry on developing? And he has done so incredibly well, and then come back. And we'll sort things out when you come back. But even if we end up just selling him, he cost us nothing. And if we can get like 500k for him, brilliant, easy bit of money. I think we did touch on Xander, I can't remember, but someone else we brought in basically on a punt, free transfer because he was just like on a non-contract NF. He's had to go out on loan. He's gone out on loan to Mainz in the end. We couldn't get him in. We couldn't get him out into Iceland, annoyingly. Even though he was kind of current ability was sort of like 2 to, it's actually gone up now to 3-star, but it was kind of the lower end, because don't get me wrong, he's nowhere near at the level for us. There's too many negatives on his mentals, but physically he's really good and he's just got a really good cross on him. So I thought if we can just go out to Iceland, go to Braithwaite and just whip crosses in for their strikers, brilliant. But no one wanted him, so we'll see what happens when he comes back from Mainz. Now this was one of those lovely freaking scouting assignments. You get some gems like this, ASEC Mimosas. If you are new to this sort of style of save on Football Manager, make sure you scout people like ASEC Mimosas. They throw out some absolute beauties. This is Blaise Diarasuba, 300k, coming in, and he is brilliant. He's really good, really calm, really assured player to have in the middle of the park. Good tackle, decent pass, some really good mentals. Doesn't really put a foot wrong. Big matches. He's great. He's really good. Really happy with what he's done so far. He is someone who we'll hopefully sell him on, because at the age he's at, he's never going to end up classed as homegrown for us. He's someone who realistically is going to be a source of profit, hopefully. Or failing that, he goes out into the loan farm eventually. But at 300k, I'd hope to be able to squeeze something out of him for a couple of years before moving him on for sort of maybe more towards that 600k as a minimum. Now, this is a player who we did kind of against our better judgment take a punt on, and it is Sylvester Nygor, who cost us 1.1 million from Copenhagen. Not very consistent, doesn't like big matches. He was actually a fickle personality. We've managed to improve that. But his technical attributes just screamed at me. 16 finishing, 17 dribbling, and 16 technique. And as you can see, 21 goals in 17 starts, 29 total appearances. He's been really, really good. He was basically someone we brought in knowing that he wouldn't stay here. Eventually, we'd end up selling him. But he's currently valued at 1.2 mil. We bought him for 1.1. If we can flip him for 2, well, if we can basically double what we paid for him, I'll be happy. Now, this is a player we touched on. That is Dmitry Kamlashev. We brought him in on loan from Dynamo Moscow, and I think he is going to be a decent player. He's 18 still. He's played a few times. He's basically in as a backup keeper for Valsen, but he's got the potential to be better than Valsen. Valsen has still been good. And he's still developing really nicely, but I think Kamlashev has the potential to actually be our sort of star keeper going forward. He's also a little bit better on the ball than Valsen. Valsen's actually improved a lot on his passing, but I think he's just got the potential to be better. I can't remember what he's got 3 million optional future fee as Kamlashev, so yeah, hopefully we'll be able to hit that. While I've gone back to the screen, I might as well show you another player who we've also had to loan back out again. That was Facundo Varela. We brought him from Lanús for 2.1 mil, which was an awful lot of money for someone who we then actually weren't able to play. Again, we couldn't get him out on loan. We kind of were a little bit stupid again. We just sort of saw these players and thought they're really good. We can afford them. Just buy them because we had a decent transfer budget of 6 mil or something like that. Let's just bring them in. And sort of keep them at the club and see what happens with them, potentially loan them out or sell them on. But yeah, he's someone we just ended up having to loan out to Newell's old boys, and hopefully he can develop there, do well for them, because he's quite happy being in our under-19s team. That's where he automatically got put as soon as he joined, but it felt like he needs to just go out and play. So we've ended up loaning him out, and hopefully when he comes back, he's someone who we can look to sort of bring in. This was another free signing. This was Marquinhos. We had our eye on him for a while. We brought him in on a free and then ended up loaning him straight out to Cruzeiro in Brazil, where he's done really, really well. We were trying to get him out into Iceland, but it wasn't happening. But hopefully when he comes back, someone in the division may be willing to take a punt on him. Failing that, he'll be a good player for us, but again, it's one of those things. I feel like we're in a point of time where we're waiting for some of our players to attract some bids from bigger clubs. We've already got their replacements kind of lined up. It's been this transfer window, because we had the money, it was a lot of contingency planning. It was like, well, if so-and-so leaves, what are we going to do? Okay, well, we've got him, etc. Can this person go onto the loan farm? Blah, 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 blah. As we're going to find out, the loan farm hasn't really worked out quite how we wanted it to. We're just going to touch on a couple of players where the loan farm has worked out for. This is Kelvin Chitanzara. Came in on a free. He's the Zimbabwean. Has managed to go out on loan to Nats Pionnidale to KR. It actually took us a bit of time to get him there. He joined us. He basically spent the first half of the season in the under-19s before we managed to get him out on loan into the to Nats Pionnidale, where he's played 4 times, 1 assist. He's just going to hopefully just stay there. We're going to be able to renew his loan, hopefully. But yeah, he was basically brought in very much as a loan farm player. As was this guy, Teles Koutros, came in on a free when his contract expired at Olympiacos. Again, he's gone out on loan to Nats Pionnidale KR. He's made 4 sub-appearances, he's got an assist. He's just trying to fight his way into the team. He's never going to be good enough for us, but he's decent enough technically that he can do a job in the division. In terms of outs, the main ones really were Nori Sigtryggsson went out to Breither for 125,000. We signed him for free. And while he might be good physically, technically he leaves a lot to be desired. He's 20. He was looking like he was never really going to reach the heights that we wanted him to. And we offered, he spent some time out on loan at Fram, and then Breither came in and offered us the money. So we were like, yeah, that's fine. Take him and he's yours. Rodrigo Cabrera's contract was running out, so we made the decision to sell him. He was a player I think we just brought in on a non-contract deal, as in, yeah, I think we just maybe paid the compensation. I'm not sure. He made a smattering of appearances for us, mainly in Europe. As you can see, he made 12 continental appearances last season, but only 1 in the league. Again, that was registration-wise, but then we managed to get him out to Liverpool FC in Uruguay for 42,000. And then also Christian Alvarez was another player whose contract was expiring and didn't look like he wanted to renew. He was constantly moaning about game time, not really having the consistency. While he did like big matches, he was constantly moaning about game time. Again, foreign individual. Sounds a really weird way of saying it. Foreign player. Yeah, we ended up getting 120k for him. He's gone back to play. I think he's playing back in Colombia. Yeah, and it is what it is. He's someone who had played well for us, but I felt like with other players coming through and the issues we had, as we said, consistency, but also the fact that he was counted as foreign, I just thought, you know what, let's just get him out the door. He doesn't want to renew his contract. He only had like 10 months left or whatever. So the fact that we managed to get a decent little chunk of money for him, I was quite happy to take it. Yeah, and we did actually do one final little bit of loan business, and that was Santiago Gallo went out on loan to Patronato, who I think might be in, yeah, they are in the first division in Iceland. A player who I think has definitely got a good future for us at the club. But again, he was just another one. We were just struggling trying to fit everyone into the team. And we made the decision to loan him out at the age of 19. He's still got plenty of room to develop, but I just felt like he needed a bit more consistent game time than what we were able to guarantee him at this stage. So yeah, we've loaned him out, and hopefully when he comes back, things will have moved around and we'll have a bit more of a pathway for him into the first team. So lastly, just before we go into the game, yeah, we've got 17 players out on loan, but we do have an issue in regards to the fact that like the likes of Marquinhos, Zander, Varela, Gallo, and Adinho are out at loan at non-Icelandic teams. Bragason's contract is expiring, as is Stojanovic. We have told them that we're not renewing their contract, so they're going to leave on a free, and hopefully they will just get picked up by the clubs they've been at. Bragason has made plenty of appearances since he's been on loan at Fram now. He's been there for like a couple of seasons now, 2-3 seasons. He's played plenty of times, so I'd like to think that they might take him on a free when his contract expires. Stojanovic, as you can see, he's done well at IR. Hopefully they will take him, and he'll stay in the division and hopefully sort of keep kicking around. And there are both players are obviously able to do a job at this point in time in the division at the level that the respective teams are at. So finally we can get onto the game, and yeah, we are playing Zagreb at home in the second leg in the Champions League. So yeah, obviously last time we were saying that things were lagging a little bit, so hopefully I have sorted them out. Like I said, I've just made a couple of little sort of refreshes, both on my laptop and on FM itself, and hopefully that will mean that we'll get a little bit of a smoother performance. I have noticed an improvement in the running of the matches since I have verified the game files, but like I said, I will need to adjust that to, yeah. So I tried messing around with the corners again, just to keep our sort of routines fresh. And that little short routine that you've seen there, annoyingly, rather than doing what I want them to do, which is then either try and cross the ball or play it back across the box, they tend to be giving it straight back to the corner taker, who is always going to be offside in that instance, because they literally start the ball here, pass it to there. The defense, if anything, pushes out from this line, and then they play it back and they're offside. Really annoying, so I'm going to have to see, have a look at that, or hope that the players just sort of stop being so stupid. But yeah, very, very frustrating. Seems a bit of a, I'm not saying a glitch, but it seems a bit of a, well, maybe it is a bit of a bug. Just seems a bit of a shortcoming really in the set piece thing, where, obviously you wouldn't necessarily want your players to do that. You'd want them to try and work a bit more of a chance with it, rather than just giving it to someone who is obviously offside. And as I'm talking, Suarez has made it 2-0 on aggregate, 1-0 on the night, a lovely worked goal. And yeah, as you can see, our strikers have been sharing the goals even more so this season. I think we've got like 4 strikers in and around 20 goals for the season so far. Whereas last season, obviously, it was the main 3 in Rykov, Valdemarson and Suarez. And obviously we had Johnston weighing in with a few, whereas this season we've got Sylvester in, who's also chipping in. We are getting to a point where one of these strikers is going to have to leave, just because we can't fit them all into the team. Whether that's Rykov, whether that's Sylvester, I don't know. Obviously we said last time how we'd love to keep Suarez here for as long as possible, but we have rejected bids again from Flamengo. It was nowhere near his value to us, and he wasn't interested in the move. But I am aware that clubs are going to start coming to sniff around, and we may end up losing him, or maybe even Valdemarson. But we are going to, like I said, we are going to have to sell one of them. We can't keep up this season with having like 4 strikers all who want to be playing week in, week out. It's just not sustainable. Like I said, our transfer policy last summer did sort of go a bit scattergun. kind of like it was a couple of seasons ago, as we touched on. We just sort of signed players who were available, and while it's good and all, it has created a few issues with squad balance and also registration this season. But hey ho. Yeah, so what was I talking about? Set pieces, that was it. Oh, one player I did forget to show you actually who did leave, and I can't remember if the reason I might not have showed him was because it might have happened before. I'm not sure. But Pedro Zabala left. He went to Man City for 325,000. Our main sort of right wing back. No, 350k. I'd offered him a new contract, but he'd stipulated that he had a release clause, and it was one of them. His release clause was actually, we managed to get it actually higher than what his value was. I didn't like the idea of having a release clause in, but it was one of them where when clubs started bidding for him, they were massively lowballing us, and he was like at a point where like Liverpool a bid or Arsenal bid, I want to go. And I was like, well, you've got a release clause, so if they want you, they can hit your release clause. And he was like, yeah, you know what, okay, that's not a problem. Straight away, clubs started hitting his release clause. So I was like, you know what, it means we don't necessarily get a percentage of sale on, but it did mean that we managed to get his release clause, which, in the grand scheme of things, the percentage of sale might have been more profitable. But if he ends up leaving on a free, then we lose out on that, because he's at City, he's just in under 21s. He's obviously not really playing that much for them, whereas at this rate, we've managed to get sort of his value, and that might be the most we actually get out of this deal. But if that is the case, then fine. That's a lovely ball. He might be offside though. He was offside. He hit the underside of the bar as well. So this at the moment is going incredibly well, because aside from getting max coefficient points that we can get, we're on course to be guaranteed Europa League football as a minimum. Because if we go through this, we're playing Nordsjælland, and if we lose to them, then we'll just go straight into the Europa League phase. So either way, decent potential for rep boosts, decent potential for coefficient points, hopefully, decent potential for a bit of money. So hopefully we don't ball it. I'm going to have to make some changes though. I'm going to have to bring on probably Macaulay or Lindstrom. Great save. Was that a save? Yeah, he did save it. I think we take off Trifonov. So Lindstrom has actually been doing really well in this wing-back role for us over when Trifonov's needed a rest. Because, yeah, with us selling Zabala, Trifonov was our only sort of attacking wing-back, and he's not even really a wing-back. He's someone who we've managed to develop his familiarity with the role as the season's gone on. But Lindstrom and Macaulay can slot in really nicely there, and Lindstrom actually has been really, really good in that role for us this season. Oof, that looks like it could have gone anywhere. I am going to have to take the Langer off in a minute though, because he's on a yellow and he is tiring, and Schmidt is also not having a great game. Probably bring on Sylvester soon for Suarez, because Suarez is struggling a lot. Well, starting to struggle as well. I think we'll probably wait till about 65 and then we'll make those changes. And I am just going to start just time wasting a fraction, just to try and take a little bit of the sting out of the game, because the last thing I want now is a Zagreb goal. Not only because it will make us a little bit nervous, and if we get another one, we'll take it to extra time, but also because I want to get the win, because I want the max coefficient points. So we're going to bring on Matuk for Schmidt. We're going to bring on Dierasruba for the Langer, and I'm going to take off Abinho for Pichi, or Pichi, I'm not sure. But this is the change we're going to do anyway. And he's going to play as a supporting Mazzala instead. And I'm going to do my last change as well, which may be a bit reckless of me, but we're going to bring on Macaulay for Capray. As Valdemarson goes close. Yeah, as it is, we ended up not taking Suarez off. We basically just freshened up that midfield and the left-hand side of the defence. No, I don't have another sub. We freshened up where we needed to. Like, more importantly, probably than elsewhere. Fresh legs in the midfield is very, very, very important for keeping us competitive. especially when they're only playing 2 in midfield as well. Don't concede now. Don't concede now. Nice, solid header from Ragnarsson. Ragnarsson is a frustrating player because he is technically pretty poor, but mentally and physically he's unbelievable. The issue is he is not... That looked like a foul. The issue is he is not really likely to develop anymore technically now. He's like 23, I think, or something like that. But just physically and mentally, he's brilliant. He's so good. Let me just see if I can bring him up. You can't really get an accurate assessment. You can see what he's like technically, as you can see. Pretty shocking. But he's got like mentals of like aggression 16, and let me just see what else. Decisions 15, determination 16, anticipation, bravery 15, work rate 14, leadership 14, pace 16, stamina 17, acceleration 11, strength 12, 11 jumping reach. He's really good. He just can't really pass the ball that well, but he can tackle and he can mark, and you know what, that's fine. Yeah, I'm yet to find a player who fits in with what we need in terms of a registration point of view and can sort of perform reliably at the standard that he does, I suppose. Suarez did look offside, and he was, but as it is, it looks like, barring a complete and utter collapse, we should be... Well, I don't know what I've just said. I meant to say focus, but I think I said fire up, maybe? Did I say fire up? But no. Anyway, whatever it's done, it's not done anything too bad, and we're gonna win the game. See what I mean? Crossing's not great, but he will do that. He will do that all match long. Get in those positions, he just can't always cross the ball. Lindstrom is doing a lot of waving. Is he just going to go to... Surely just go to Martuk, or whoever it was. Was it Martuk? Yeah. Job done. Now, we're kind of fortunate because we're playing Nordsjælland next Wednesday, and we've actually not got a game at the weekend. It was supposed to be the main cup final, but we've not actually had the chance to play our semi-final yet against Selfoss. So that's been pushed back again. So who knows when the cup final is going to be. So Fram actually gave a decent little look out for themselves back at home in Iceland. They took the lead against Rangers before Charlie MacArthur sort of any chance of any real comeback to bed. But you know what? To go and get a 1-1 draw at home to Rangers, I think is really good progress for a team who, like I said, have been really struggling in the league as well. And they are a strong team. We know they are. We've had plenty of good battles with them over the seasons, and hopefully under their new manager, they can hopefully make sure they stay in the division and then push on for better things. Meanwhile, the journey has ended for Breither. 1-1 at half-time, Sigurdsson giving them the lead, or he then scored an own goal. And then, obviously, I'm guessing probably what happened here is they pushed for it. And Zubac made it 3-1 for Sarajevo right at the end. So they will be playing Raków Częstochowa from Poland in the 4th round, I think it is called, for a chance of getting through to the Conference League proper. Let's hope they can get it done and yeah, get us some more points on the board for the coefficients. Because yeah, I think Korea next season we're due to potentially be in 25th, if I'm reading this right. Which would it see us get anything more? Potentially not. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. No, it wouldn't see us actually get anything. Or is it 24th? No, I can't tell. 25th, 24th. Either way, it's not going to get us anything more. It's when we start getting into 23rd and above when things really start happening for us in terms of what's that, second round. So that'll be good. It will obviously see us lose out on opportunities to gain coefficient points, but obviously it just gives us a little bit less game time, a little bit less fixture congestion, and hopefully can boost things along a little bit more in that regard. Gives us a little bit more wiggle room as well. Obviously, it's one less game for us to lose. It'll see us drop down into a next stage along, basically in the Europa League. But yeah, we really need to start getting to, what is it, 15th. I suppose is when things are really going to start happening, not just for us, but for the other teams as well. I wish it would divulge a little bit more on what round this will be, because I think this is the cups that we get from here, and then I'm guessing that's when it goes to 2 teams. Okay. Anyway, well, that's a problem for quite some time in the future. Finally, financially, we're pretty solid. Nice, decent balance sitting in the bank. Most of this season's losses is transfers, I think, really. So yeah, we're on course to do quite well, especially if we can get some Champions League money coming in. If we can get to the league phase, that would be lovely. In terms of when I next see you, it really depends on how this first leg goes against Nordsjælland. If it's really tight, I'll probably bring it back for the second leg. If we get battered, I probably won't. If we batter them, I also probably won't. It'll be the league phase of whichever competition you next see us at. But if we win like 1-0 or draw 1-1, I'll probably bring it back for the home leg or something like that. And then hopefully we'll finally get this semi-final played, and hopefully add another trophy. We're on course for a domestic quadruple currently. Win. Hopefully win this. We can beat Selfoss, which we should do. We can then hopefully beat Hafnarfjordur, which we should do. And as you can see, we're 12 points clear. 1 game more played than Hafnarfjordur, but they should be playing that this weekend. And 9 points clear potentially with 2 games to go in the main phase of the league. Let's go. So everyone, if it's all right, I'm going to love you and leave you, and I'll get cracking, and I'll either see you when we play Nordsjælland, or I'll see you in some sort of European League phase. I hope you have enjoyed the episode, and give me a shout if there's down below in the comments if there's anything you want me to touch on or anything you want to talk about. If you want to have a bit more in-depth chat, hop along to Jake Cooper's Discord server. The link for that is down below. And take care, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you who watches these episodes. So take care. I'll see you all very soon. Bye for now.